All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about one of the biggest power struggles happening on the planet right now, the race to control artificial intelligence. Seriously, all around the world, there's this massive battle going on. On one side, you've got governments who are scrambling to put rules in place, and on the other, you have tech giants pushing for total freedom to innovate. This is the global tug-of-war that is going to define the future of AI.
And this quote, it absolutely nails the core problem. The technology is just moving at this breakneck speed, right? But the laws, the rules that are supposed to govern it, they're lagging way, way behind. This gap creates this huge tension between moving fast and, well, being careful. So the real debate, the one we're unpacking today, is simple. Who decides? Who gets to set the rules for this incredibly powerful new technology?
Exactly. Who is in control here? Who decides how AI gets built and how it gets used? Who controls where it's all heading? And maybe most importantly, who is responsible when something inevitably goes wrong? The answers to these questions, they're not just about tech. They're going to shape the very fabric of our society.
So you might be wondering, why the big rush to regulate all of this now? Well, it's because AI isn't some sci-fi concept anymore. It's here, its impact is real, it's growing like crazy, and frankly, the stakes have never been higher.
Just think about it. AI is already weaving itself into the most critical parts of our world. We're talking national security, our financial systems, even life-or-death healthcare decisions, not to mention the entire future of jobs and automation. This isn't some theoretical debate anymore, and that reality is putting a ton of pressure on governments everywhere to do something.
And really, it all boils down to this one word, accountability. As these AI systems get smarter and more independent, the need to manage risk and protect people is just skyrocketing. Governments have to make sure that someone is answerable for what these systems do. That's why this whole conversation has moved out of the universities and into the halls of power, where laws are actively being written.
But here's where it gets really interesting. Not everyone agrees on how to do this. A massive global divide is opening up, with two totally different philosophies about who should be in control and how they should wield that power.
Okay, so check this out. On one side, you have the European Union. They are going all in with big, comprehensive, rule-heavy laws. Their whole approach is built on prioritizing safety and people's rights above all else. But then, on the other side, you've got the United States, which is taking a much lighter, guideline-based approach. They're focused on prioritizing innovation and making sure they stay in the lead. It's really that classic battle, you know? Safety versus speed playing out on a global stage.
And this is where you really see the difference. The EU's model tries to give you a clear answer right from the start, with legally binding rules. The US model, though, it's more flexible, but it leaves that question of responsibility a lot murkier, often decided after the fact, case by case. So who controls the fallout? Well, the answer completely depends on which side of the Atlantic you're on.
But here's the thing. Choosing one of these paths isn't free. Every single decision to regulate or not to regulate comes with a serious trade-off. There is always a price to be paid for control.
So, on the one hand, having clear rules can be a really good thing. It gives businesses a stable playing field, it builds trust with the public, and that can actually lead to more people using AI responsibly, and that's a win for everybody. But, and this is the big but, that kind of strict compliance can feel like a giant anchor holding back innovation. The time and money companies have to spend on just following the rules, that's time and money they're not spending on research and development. This is the #1 fear for anyone who thinks we should just let innovation run free.
And who ends up paying that price? Well, the big, established companies. They can absorb those compliance costs. It's not a huge deal for them. But for the little guys, the startups, these costs can be absolutely crushing. And that means heavy regulation could end up just helping the biggest companies get even bigger, making it almost impossible for the next great innovator to break through.
So it's pretty clear, right? The future of AI isn't just being written by programmers in Silicon Valley. It's being hammered out in government buildings in Brussels and Washington, D.C. The whole battle for control is now just as much about policy as it is about technology.
Ultimately, the path a country or a region decides to take, how they choose to balance that incredibly delicate scale between progress and protection, that decision is going to determine who leads the world in the next decade of AI and who gets left behind.
All of this brings up a huge question for all the businesses caught in the middle of this global debate. So next time, we're going to look at exactly that. How do companies actually navigate all this AI compliance without slamming the brakes on innovation?